They supposed it had been a spirit. Matthew, they were troubled, saying it is a spirit. Okay, I want to have them saying it instead of just they supposed. Well, Mark has, for they saw him and were troubled, but being troubled should be mentioned before they're supposing it was a spirit. Or should it? You see and you believe it's a spirit, and that's what troubles you. So maybe they supposed it had been a spirit and cried out, for they all saw him and were troubled. Now, I think I'm going to put troubled first. But when the disciples saw him walking, see, they were troubled, saying it was a spirit. I think I've changed my mind. I don't want to have the quote anymore, because them being troubled, saying it was a spirit, yeah, okay, that works. But them being troubled because they supposed it was a spirit, I think that's more clear. But there's no because. I can't say they were troubled because, if the word's not there. But I can say for. There is a for at the beginning of verse 50. For they all saw him and were troubled. But since I'm using troubled before, and I do mention they all saw him already, maybe I don't need to say it again. It's only mentioned once here in Matthew. And in John. I really think it would fit if I say they were all troubled for they supposed it had been a spirit. So I'll put they were troubled. Were troubled. So I have they were troubled from verse 50 in Mark. So I could just continue, they were troubled. And I can use the for from Mark. And I can just say, for they supposed it had been a spirit. Only from Mark, the word for. They supposed. Matthew just saying it is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. I think I'm going to take the they from Matthew, because I don't want to have they were troubled, for they supposed, and they cried out for fear. I'm just going to have they were troubled, for they supposed, and cried out for fear. So this they is both, and then supposed is only Mark. It had been a spirit is also in Matthew. Oh, also it. Because their quote is, it is a spirit. So it. Both had been, now also both, a spirit. And cried out. And I already used they, cried out. So that's both. For fear is Matthew only. And cried out for fear. A small change I want to make is that in this second mention of the disciples seeing Jesus walking on the sea, it says, "For they all saw him and were troubled." I did use "were troubled." I used "for they." I did use "saw him." When the disciples saw him. But I never used the word "all." So I'm just going to add that right before "saw him." When the disciples all saw him. I had another idea. I was looking over John where it says, after Jesus walking on the sea, it goes right into, he was drawing near to the ship and they were afraid. But I remember I was going to put they were afraid before Jesus came to them. Because them crying out for fear might have been what drew Jesus to them. Because it says in Mark, he was going to walk by. So I think it would be best if I just put, "and they were afraid," right after it said, they supposed it was a spirit, and then have the ending be "and cried out for fear." So because of that, after spirit, I am going to put "and they were afraid" from John, "and cried out for fear." So now it reads, "But when the disciples all saw him walking upon the sea, they were troubled, for they supposed it had been a spirit. And they were afraid and cried out for fear." And then I'll put Jesus drew near and talked to them.